my channel. My name is Joy. On my channel, I talk about random things, including things that affect Black women, Sims 4, pop culture, music, and whatever I feel like talking about at the time. The reason I'm dressed like a dominatrix is because I'm starting a new series. I don't know if you noticed, but we're talking about villains today, people. The bad guys, the antagonists, those we hate to love and love to hate. Why am I moving my eyebrows so much? So girl, here we are, and the gloves are on and they're hot, so I'm not sure how long they're gonna stay on. The wig is plopped on and it's also hot, but we can't take that off, can we? I can't even, nothing, it's not. These are actually pretty warm. I'll have to keep that in mind this winter, even though I live in Miami. So this is the fit, all right? Ignore the green pants. It's a dominatrix party on top and it's a pajama party on the bottom, understand? So I wanted to start a new series. One where I took the time to dissect some of pop culture's infamous Black female villains right now. I see the women who blow up on the trending pages. I see the women who get you guys all worked up in your panties and a wad. Each time I ask myself, why? And if I was a normal person, I'd just sit in my room and ponder, but I'm not. So I put on latex and press record. Yep. Now first, let's define the term villain, okay? So for the purposes of this series, a villain is somebody who's a little problematic, you know, she a little bit like, someone whose name is in the headlines for stirring up something, okay? So for example, Queen Naija. Queen Naija would be considered a villain because Queen Naija is a colorist and she's a little bit annoying, but she hasn't done anything heinous. Now, Tamika Tiny Harris would not be considered a villain because her name right now is currently in the headlines for being investigated for sexual assault allegations. So that's not a villain, honey, that's a criminal, allegedly. Her and her ilk will not be included in this series. I hope I define the term villain in a way that you can understand because we're about to get into it. And the first villain of the series is Sha'Carri Richardson, the 6th fastest woman in the world. Sha'Carri Richardson is an American track and field sprinter who competes in the 100 meters and 200 meters. Richardson rose to fame in 2019 as a freshman at Louisiana State University, running 10.75 seconds to break the 100-meter record at the National Collegiate Athletic Association Championship. In April 2021, Richardson ran a new personal best of 10.72 seconds, becoming the 6th fastest woman of all time and the 4th fastest American woman in history. She qualified for the 2020 Summer Olympics after winning the women's 100-meter dash with 10.86 in the U.S. Olympic trials. On July 1st, it was reported that Richardson had tested positive for cannabis use following her 100-meter final in the U.S. trials, invalidating her win and making her ineligible to compete in the 100-meter at the Olympics. ShaCarri is known for her flamboyant style, her hair, her nails, and her personality. She has been said to be heavily influenced by Florence Griffith Joyner. She wears the long nails. She's very feminine in the way that she presents herself during her track meet. And Florence Griffith Joyner is the fastest woman in the world. So of course she aspires to be like her. When I went back to look at Florence's interviews, I noticed that she was very demure and soft-spoken and very sweet and very gracious during her interviews.
You retired. There was a lot of controversy. People thought, uh-oh, the steroid thing, uh-oh, why isn't she continuing on? What did you say to those people?
It wasn't nothing new that I was faced with as far as people saying bad things. In my neighborhood, people talk about you all the time because you didn't have this, you didn't have that. And my mom has always taught me to turn the other cheek. When someone talks about you or don't like you, you pray for them. And I knew that I have never taken drugs, so I didn't let that bother me what people said. I knew that it was a thing that was in the news, and people were looking for things to point fingers at athletes, and I just tried not to take it personal.
So it's no surprise to me that Florence was well loved and well liked. She was beautiful, she was accomplished on the track, and she was sweet as pie. ShaCarri, on the other hand, has recently garnered a reputation for being cocky. Cocky in her interviews and cocky online. But we have plenty of interviews where she wasn't being that at all. Here she is back in 2018.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
So through this video, we see that even as a teenager, ShaCarri was on her P's and Q's. She's leading her team. ShaCarri is not new to this. She's true to this, honey. She literally has been preparing for years to go to the Olympics. So we don't know much about Richardson's personal life. She doesn't talk that much about family, about her friends, or her love life. We do know that ShaCarri seems as though she had an estranged relationship with her mother, and that she was being raised by her grandmother and her aunt. Both of these women are responsible for encouraging her to run. ShaCarri lost her mom back in June, just a week before a major race. Essentially, we're dealing with a young woman who is going through grief. We see that come up later when ShaCarri fails the drug test. When the report came out that ShaCarri was going to be disqualified to run in the Olympics due to her testing positive for THC metabolites, many rallied around her during this period. I mean, it was huge, major news. I think that everyone was so excited. Like, we were just coming off of that exciting moment of her like setting a world record, and her being so young, and then her being like so like just an interesting figure with her hair and her nails. We were just so enamored by her and happy and ecstatic, you know, for this young black woman. And then it was almost like whiplash, like finding out that she was disqualified. And I think a lot of people took that way too personally. Her situation became way bigger than just her situation. It was like worldwide. It was a worldwide debate whether or not somebody should be able to run after smoking weed. Like, that was a whole, it was a whole conversation. And what I hate about that is I feel as though the very, very personal experience that she was enduring got lost in all of that. She had been preparing for this moment for years, since she was a teenager. I mean, the dedication and the consistency that it takes for someone to become a runner of her caliber, I don't know, like I feel like people don't like understand how hard that is. I hate that it became a worldwide debate and a worldwide conversation instead of it just being her moment. I mean, did she even get a moment to just be sad? Did she even get a moment to just, you know, sit with that disappointment? She had to do interviews, and she had to make a public apology. Why was she apologizing to? You guys, I just hate everything about that. I hate the way that a very personal moment became a public moment. ShaCarri faced a ton of criticism during this period. People saying what they would have done if they were her. People saying she should have done this, she shouldn't have done that. And I'm sure that must have been very frustrating to see and hear. But ShaCarri put out this statement. We all have our different struggles. We all have our different things to deal with. But to put on a face and have to go out in front of the world and put on a face and hide my pain, who are you? Who am I to tell you how to cope when you're dealing with the pain, or you're dealing with the struggle that you've never experienced before, or that you've never thought you'd have to deal with? Who am I to tell you how to cope? Who am I to tell you you're wrong for hurting? After this upset played out, and you know, everyone said, wah, you know, sucks for us because we don't get to go to the Olympics, even though it was never about you guys. It was always about her, but somehow we made it about us. I don't know. After that, things quieted down a little bit, but that's when the problems kind of began. People started doing what they do, poking through her old tweets. Now, ShaCarri's been on Twitter for a minute. She has a lot of tweets, like a lot, okay? So these are the tweets that she had. If you support Lil Nas X, you can unfollow me. If you and you wear pink, die in a pit because you gay as fuck. Oh my gosh, shut up. Women like you are so annoying. None of us are perfect. That was a mistake he made years ago and was dubbed through the mud about for years. It's not right for anyone to put their hands on another person, but y'all don't say anything about the fact that. And she said more after that, but that is a tweet in reference to Chris Brown. ShaCarri was dragged for those tweets, and rightly so. So then she tweeted on July 30th, missing me yet? And people didn't like that too much either. This is when the cocky and the arrogant side or whatever started to kind of come out more, and it started to leave a bad taste in people's mouth. People were starting to feel like she was a little too confident, to which she responded, if you don't like what I tweet, you can definitely unfollow me. If you choose to think of all my tweets as petty and shady, then you should unfollow me, showing your own character, but don't use my tweets to do it. Have a day, she said. So ShaCarri starts to get more defensive, and so this is the end of July. Okay, so now we coming up on that one race, but hold on first. The race that everyone had been waiting for her to run in was on August 21st. Now during this time period, ShaCarri became sponsored by Nike. So the morning of the race, Nike posted this video.
I've been waiting. Patiently waiting. Waiting to show y'all that I'm no one-hit wonder. Waiting to show y'all it's not what I've done, but what I'm about to do. Waiting to show y'all that I'm more than a news headline. Waiting to show y'all why I'm that girl. And if you need me, I'll be at the finish line, waiting.
So we see in this video, ShaCarri seems to be intentionally rebranding herself into this obnoxiously cocky athlete. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. Specifically, people have had an issue with her being this, and I'm not really sure why, because we have seen athletes like Muhammad Ali.
Actually, this week that you've been voted sports personality of the world. Does that surprise you?
Yes, I do, because of the world. That's a big thing to be, you know, the #1 man in the world. And all I had to do was to go out and beat a man who had no skill, no class. Seriously, the man had no skill. I don't know why the world is so foolish to believe in him and think that I wasn't going to win. He only beat Joe Frazier, who was fat and off that night. He fought a Ken Norton, a fellow who was frightened, fought me, but they wouldn't fight him. Joe King Roman, the Puerto Rican champion in Japan, who had no skill. He's never been over 5 rounds in the past 10 years. The man fights like a woman. He's wild, no class, no science, and ugly, and I just don't know why they think I'm so great now because I beat George Foreman. He wasn't nothing, no way.
What stuck out most about him was the way he carried himself, the personality he brought to the ring, the way he did his interviews, the way that he always talked himself up. That's something that sticks with us. And so I kind of find it a little bit, I don't know, it feels hypocritical to me to praise that in a man and then to hate that in a woman, especially since she is very good. Obviously, she is one of the best. I have a video like in my heart, in my spirit, I don't know if I'm actually ever going to film it, but about women and self-promotion, because there's actually a whole thing where people don't like women who promote themselves, and women are actually discouraged to promote themselves, and they're more encouraged to promote others around them. Now, I will say this, Muhammad Ali was a little older than ShaCarri in his prime, more established in his career. Because he was older, it's possible that he was maybe had a little bit more of, like, was able to take the backlash that came with being arrogant. And I think that ShaCarri being so young, she's brand new in this profession. She's only 21. She's only been doing this for a couple years. I do think that the backlash that comes with a woman asserting herself in this way, I wonder, is this something that she can take? Because it seems as though ever since everything happened with her disqualification, and since she started to receive such negative feedback and criticism from people, I feel as though it sort of has changed the way that she relates to the press. Because when you see her old interviews, she doesn't speak the same way that she spoke at this race, but we haven't gotten to that quite yet. Okay, so the August 21 race happened. and everyone was on their toes. Everyone was on pins and needles. Everyone was waiting with bated breath to see how she was going to do. I mean, it was very obvious. If you see her standing there waiting for the race to start, like, you see her body language, she just doesn't look confident. She doesn't look comfortable. She doesn't look happy. She doesn't look the way that I had seen her look in past race videos. And that's one thing that I want to point out, is I just honestly, in my heart, I feel as though just mentally she was just not there, not ready that day. And we don't know why. And I don't want to sit here and act like it's because she's not good enough physically, because we've seen it. She didn't come out the woodwork. She's been putting in the work for years. She's been setting records and being #1 for years, since high school. So it's not that she physically can't do it. I honestly believe that all of the stress of being such a public figure, and like I said, like her struggle becoming a worldwide debate, I believe that got to her. So she came in last, and then we get this interview.
It was a great return back to the sport. I wanted to be able to come in before, having a month off, dealing with all I was dealing with. I'm not upset at myself at all. This is one race. I'm not done. You know what I'm capable of. Count me out if you want to. Talk all the you want, because I'm here to stay. I'm not done. I'm the 6th fastest woman in this game ever. And can't nobody ever take that from me. Congratulations to the winners. Congratulations to the people that won, but they're not done seeing me yet. Period.
And the internet hated that interview. Yeah, they hated it. Then there were some shady tweets that she left and some cryptic posts. There were some shady tweets that she liked. And then people really started to question, why do we care about this girl? What do we ever see in her? Like, she's an awful person. Of course, the internet is very binary. As much as we're in this era of people accepting the fact that gender-wise, we can be non-binary, that there's more than 2 genders, we're still so binary when it comes to good and bad, to when we view people and assess them. Like, we're still so black and white here, and it really bothers me, because, you know, a couple bad moments and a couple bad tweets does not make a bad person. So at that point, people were over her, and she got drugged. She got drugged by Jamaicans. She got drugged by Americans. It was an international dragon, and it was bad. 3 points I definitely want to make. Number 1, like I said before, people claim to not like ShaCarri because they don't like her attitude. They feel like she's too cocky. But we never had a problem with Usain Bolt being cocky, or Floyd Mayweather. So why do you have a problem with ShaCarri? Misogyny. It's not always that's always the freaking answer to all the questions I ask. Number 2, okay, I want to say this. Black men in particular have gone in on this whole thing with ShaCarri. Like, they've gone for blood. The videos on YouTube, the TikToks. I don't understand, like, what she did to make them so angry, to the point where they're making statements and videos and really trying to make her look bad. How does that benefit you guys, you doing this? I really, like, black men, can you tell us? Can you give us an insight on why you hate us so much? Because inquiring minds want to know. In fact, put it in the comments. How about that? But finally, I want to help give some language to some of what we've seen go on in the last few months, when ShaCarri went from Olympic darling to black girl villain. There seems to be a feeling of betrayal. People feel betrayed because they feel like they've been duped. They thought she was this nice, sweet, talented girl, and now they feel like they were wrong. And the only reason that you ever feel betrayed by a celebrity is because you've given them attributes that you've made up. In a matter of months, ShaCarri went from representing the strong black woman trope to representing the sapphire trope. The strong black woman trope is this.
The strong black woman is a beacon of superiority. She's extraordinary, even immune to obstacles and pain. The women in the color purple are some of the earliest mainstream examples of the strong black woman trope in film.
Girl, you ought to bash Mr. head open and think about heaven later.
They are strong-willed, morally righteous, and nurturing, even though they have endured unimaginable hardship.
And the sapphire trope is this.
The sapphire character, I think that's seen in TV more often than anything else.
Get some Kleenex, wipe your nose, cause it ain't that damn sad.
The sapphire is usually sharp-tongued, manipulative woman who emasculates her husband.
there was actually a character called Sapphire Stevens on the Amazon Andy show.
And I guess you think you could cook, clean, and get along just fine all by yourself.
I does.
All of those characteristics that a strong black woman has, we projected that onto her just because she won a race. It's very weird. And then as soon as she starts to show that she is a complex person, I don't want to say sass and I don't want to say attitude because I hate those words when you talk about black women. I don't want to say that. I just want to say when she starts to show other sides to herself, we decided that she was an angry black woman. But like, can we actually talk about the fact that by the time that August 21st interview happened, ShaCarri had been going through weeks of criticism, of online hate comments, of ridicule, people bringing up her old tweets, this new level of fame that she had never had before. Her mother passed away. The moment that she'd been waiting for, probably her whole running career, was taken from her. And you don't think that that might come out, especially when she just got last place in a race where she was expected to get first. Because in society, black women are treaded on, but we're still expected to give service with a smile. We're still expected to be our best self. I like to call this the Michelle Obama syndrome, but it's not that. The real word for this is the strong black woman. Like, we're expected to always be the strong black woman, but Michelle is like the quintessential strong black woman. She's smart, she's beautiful, she knows how to dress, she's well-spoken, she can write a book, she's got a PhD, I think, or something, some high degree, and she's been through hardship. Like, she's been underestimated, and she has all these inspiring stories, and like, Michelle is that, definitely. But everybody's not Michelle. We can't all be Michelle. We can't all be Obama wife, as much as I would love to be. Y'all, Obama's fine to me. I'm sorry, I know y'all hate him, but he's fine to me. So Michelle was able to not internalize her negative experiences, but everybody can't do that. We all can't do that. The strong black woman trope does not allow for the complexities of being a human. If we have weak moments, I would hope that society would try to empathize with us. But that isn't what happened with ShaCarri. I think that she's out of everyone's good graces and they have no intent to ever root for her or support her any longer. Basically, if you're someone who was offended by her recent antics online, like, basically those people who are offended will never be back on her side again, because black women can't make mistakes. Do I plug this video every video? Because I feel like I keep plugging the mistakes video because it keeps coming up, the same themes, right? Black women cannot make mistakes. And the thing is, she's 21. I'm not the kind of person who's gonna completely just turn a blind eye to things that people do that they shouldn't be doing. I'm not that kind of person. I will call a spade a spade. Some of her tweets were ignorant. Some of her behavior could be considered rude and tactless, but I don't think that those are reasons to just count her out. You can say, I don't like what you did, but then still say, but I have hope for you and I'm still rooting for you. I don't know why we can't do that. Y'all are not trying to fuck with this girl anymore, and that really upsets me, makes me sad, because she's navigating fame, huge worldwide levels of fame overnight. She's navigating that on her own, and I just want us to wish her the best. Is that weird to say that? It really made me sad to see that we treated her like a joke. We tossed her to the side and basically said, aha, that's what you, I mean, it was all very ugly. And I really hope that you guys got on your knees and prayed for forgiveness, or else you're gonna go to hell. I'm sorry, that's where you're gonna burn. Y'all burn for that, because that was just ugly. This series is not for like a defense. I just wanna have a conversation and discuss. I wanna discuss the black women that we consider villains, why we consider them villains. And I wanna see if maybe, is there a space for us to be bad? White men get to be bad, they get to be president. But you know what, we not finna get up on we not finna get up on I'll be here all day. That's all I have to say on this. Okay, and these gloves were hot, but we endured. That's all for this video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. So I'll see you in my next one.